This is a lesson about perspective for level 1. So the very beginning lesson, I usually use this one in the winter time, but it could be adapted for other times of the year. So perspective is how artists make space. Artists make space by changing sizes using big, medium, and small, near and far to show distance. So if we have two objects that are exactly the same size, like two pennies, we can see that they're exactly the same size. When we bring one closer to us, it can look bigger than this one. This one now looks really small, and this one looks really big because it's really close. It's the same thing with my hand. If my hands are about the same size. If we leave one down on the table, we bring this one super close, it now appears a lot bigger, but they're actually the same size. So some things in life are actually big and some things in life are actually small. So for example, a panda bear is actually big and an ant is actually small. But if we were to bring the ant super close and put the panda bear far away, the panda bear would look small, but actually the panda bear is big and the ant is actually small if we were to put them side by side. So the word actually helps explain in this case. So you just need a piece of paper, and this lesson is marker and crayons and tracers, and it helps the little ones to actually have 3 different sizes that they can stack and see this one's big, this one's medium, and this one is small. And then we are going to create space on our paper. So this one is going to be big, and we're going to start with the big one closest to us, the medium one in the middle, and the little one far away, way up high on the paper. And you can write on your tracers if that works. You can put a B if you want. You can put an M for medium and an S for small. But depending on the time of year, kindergarteners may or may not know what that even means. It depends on the school and what's being taught, when. You could put a 1, a 2, and a 3. Doesn't really matter. You can use many different ways to explain this. So we're going to have them put their largest shape about a finger measurement up from the bottom and near this corner that looks like the way the letter L faces. Letter L goes that way. And have your students trace their largest shape. I don't always give out all rectangles. Sometimes I give out all different shapes. We make houses out of them. Then we're going to put the medium shape in the middle. It's going to be higher. Maybe a whole hand, kindergartner size hand, up. And you're going to trace it in the middle. So artists make space. And I would have kids repeat this. Artists make space. I leave room for them to repeat. By changing sizes, and they go, by changing sizes, big, medium, small, and they say big, medium, small, and then we go with our hands near and far, perspective, and they say perspective, and we sing it a couple of times, and we sing it as we're tracing the shapes. So we have big, medium, small, near, and far. And they're kind of going in a diagonal in order. And then they can decorate their houses with their marker any way they want. I do use marker on purpose. We commit to our lines. We take our time. We've talked about that connected lines make shapes. We want all of our lines to connect, to make shapes. We don't want any lazy lines that are just floating around and disconnected. And this is a winter scene. Usually you could do it in other times of the year, whatever time of year makes sense to you to do it. I just happen to do it in the winter time because that's when it feels like students are ready for this. But you can adapt it to what is good for you. And the house closest to us gets all the best details. This house gets a medium amount of details because it's in the middle. And then the smallest one gets the least amount of details because it is far away and small. And then we're going to make 3 hills. Small hill for the biggest house. A medium hill that goes behind. And this is also a great time to talk about horizon line. Horizon lines separate the ground from the sky. And then we have the littlest one way up on the big hill. This is a great time to talk about your artist name and your signature. And then we can make little tiny dashes for footprints, and they're going to go up over the hill, and they're going to get bigger, left, right, and then they're going to be really big close to us. So they get smaller as they go up the hill. And then if all you have is crayons, this is when I would talk about how to hold the crayon, and we're going to color the house closest to us the darkest. We're going to push down super hard with our crayon. I encourage my students to break crayons, or I just have a whole bucket of pre-broken crayons that are already peeled. If you have volunteers come in, you can have a list of things already ready to do, because sometimes when you have volunteers come in, you can't think of activities to have them do for you, and you're like, oh, what do I have the volunteer do? I can't think. So if you have that list ready to go, anytime there's an extra person or a volunteer, you would just like automatically know what you want them to do. So one of those things is like cutting the paper off, like scoring the crayon with an X-Acto knife, and then peeling like until you have an entire bin of peeled crayons. And in kindergarten, I find this really helps with the grip. It's really hard to do this grip with a little piece of crayon. It's just like a lot, they can't really see. So it's going to encourage them to grab. So sometimes I just have kindergartners peel crayons, and then they're more invested in the crayons because they helped to make the whole bucket of crayons. Or if a student is dysregulated and you're trying to regulate them, you can have them peel and break crayons for you until the bucket is full. Whatever works for your classroom. So this house is going to get all the best details. I'm going to push down really hard with my crayons and get really rich, bold colors. And then the house back here is going to get very light colors. It's far away, so we're just going to give it just a very light touch. You can talk about like outlining a space and then coloring it in. It's a great opportunity to talk about no peekaboos. So when you're talking about peekaboos, I have a peekaboo poster in my classroom, and I have 2 circles, and one is colored in like this, and the paper is peeking out at us through our fingers, and the other circle is colored in, and so there are no peekaboos. And that's something we talk about really early on in kindergarten, is the colored in circle versus the not colored in circle. So you're reinforcing that idea of using the whole piece of paper and not leaving any white spots. And this is a really low budget lesson if all you have is paper, marker, and crayons. This house is going to be just 2 colors because it's pretty far away. And then we're going to go back down here and color this one super dark. This thing's closer to us have more details and more color. So objects closer, objects far away. We can't see all those teeny tiny details. And then I usually have the rubbing crayons ready to go, and we're going to make the hill like very light and soft, a soft snowfall. They can use purple or blue to make their snowfall. And we're going to add a little shadow to these footprints, the dots and the dashes. They can add some fluffy clouds if you want, little dots for far away snow, and then they can have bigger snowflakes up closer that are falling in front of the snow. And again, the snow is like really hard to see and far away back here, and then bigger ones up closer. And of course, you can make these fancier. After I've made the example and the directions with the kids step by step, I usually put my example away so they're not like just looking at it thinking that mine is what theirs should be. A little sun or a moon. And this could be broken up into 2 parts, pre-teaching and just the black lines, and then the second time is talking about how to use the crayons, peeling crayons, using pieces of crayons and coloring it in. So in about 2 class periods, about 40 minutes, you could have this perspective lesson completed, and just reviewing like big, medium, small, near and far. And some things in life are actually big, some things are actually small, some things we just force them to look big by bringing them closer, or making things look smaller, like a panda bear, forcing it to look smaller by putting it really far away. Like if the panda bear climbed a tree, it would look small up in the tree, but if it came down from the tree, it would look much, much bigger. So this is how I would introduce this to my youngest students, and I'd probably be doing this in like December. So they've had like a few months of school under their belt, and we've talked about how to handle permanent markers, and we've reviewed crayons before, and lines and connecting lines. And then we're kind of putting this all together to make a landscape, a winter landscape. So I hope that that was inspirational to you, and that you can use this lesson in your classroom if you're looking for new ideas.